From the world of politics to the world of business, this is Balance of Power. Live from Washington, D.C.
As we turn back to the campaign trail, Kaylee, we've been talking about this monster event tonight at Radio City. Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, both on stage with the President of the United States. They're going to raise $25 million, thanks in part to a photo line. If you want a photograph with all three, by the way, we're told by our own Josh Wingrove that Annie Leibovitz herself is going to be taking the photographs. $100,000 for one picture. That's how you get that kind of money. And to your point, that's what? Twice what Donald Trump pulled in a month, something like that?
20 million he pulled in February in the entire month.
So one night versus 1 month. Yeah. Remarkable. With our eyes on the trail, I'm glad to say Cliff Young is with us from Ipsos. We refer to his polling and his research so often, and we've got a lot of questions for Cliff today. It's great to see you. Welcome back to the table. Nice to see you in Washington today.
It's great to be here.
So this fundraiser tonight brings our attention back to a general election campaign that everyone seems to have settled on. I'm going to ask you some questions about RFK Jr., but what we're hearing from No Labels is nobody wants to run. Are you settled on Trump v. Biden?
I think it's going to be Trump v. Biden. There could be a third candidate, but those are the two primary front runners on each side. We're ratcheting up now, and we have a campaign, we have a dispute in front of us.
Well, as we talk about Trump and Biden, Joe mentioned at the very top of the hour that we did get consumer sentiment data today. It's the highest since 2021. It's improving. We actually saw the biggest improvement within a month going back to 2022. It does seem like feelings around the economy are starting to improve. The question is, does Biden's prospects really improve with them? How close is that connection really? Yeah,
this campaign, this electoral year was always going to be a very close one. We never had any doubt in respect to that. Obviously, time's not in Biden's favor. Anytime an incumbent's down because of the economy, the question is, can you gain that ground quickly enough? But what's happening now is what we expect. And the economy's improving, people perceive that, and we're beginning to see, at least on the Biden side, glimmers of hope when it comes to numbers.
Fascinating. The RFK factor is a real one, or at least it could be. You did some research just about a week ago on this. He has since named a running mate, and we can talk more about the direction of his campaign. But when I start hearing Donald Trump try to frame the narrative around RFK Jr., calling him left of Joe Biden, I'm starting to think that he's worried about this. Should he take it seriously?
He should. Listen, first and foremost, RFK represents a disaffected middle. Whether it be 10%, 16%, somewhere in between. At Ipsos, sometimes we ask the question without the name, a nondescript third-party individual, we get 10%.
Just option C.
Just option, the other option, right, beside the two.
Anyone.
Anyone else but these two, right? But ultimately, there is a disaffected middle, right? But that disaffected middle tends to be a little right of center, at least by our polling, tends to be a little bit more conservative, tends to be a little bit more female, a little bit more suburban. Maybe the Dobbs decision had an effect. So I think there should be worries on Trump's side. Obviously, it's Biden's job to mobilize these disaffected voters because they're really more likely to be his voters than Trump's. But that said, it makes total sense the way in which Trump is framing it today.
Well, you talk about mobilization of these voters, and I wonder if the question we should be asking is not how many people will turn out to vote for RFK Jr. or any third-party candidate, whatever option C, or whether they're just going to decide not to vote, because theoretically that's I just wonder if the choice is more, do I vote or do I vote for this other person, rather than do I vote for this other person over Trump or Biden? Because are these individuals going to vote for Trump or Biden in any case?
Yeah, it's both, right? That third option in part represents aspirations. And so some of those that aspire to a third-party individual, third-party candidate, won't vote on Election Day. Polling tends to overstate the third-party candidate, both in the United States and around the world. We see that everywhere. I think it will minimize a bit, narrow a bit. It'll come down to sort of, I think, single-digit numbers by Election Day. But ultimately, it represents both both those that would not vote and those that would want to vote for a third-party candidate.
Nicole Shanahan is his pick for running mate. Of course, is married till just last year to Sergey Brin, worth $129 billion. She is going to have the ability to donate an unlimited amount of cash as an actual candidate on the ticket to this campaign. Does that make it more legitimate? Are you expecting it to be on the ballot in all 50 states?
It's very, very difficult to get on the ballot in all 50 states, especially now. It takes time, and there are a lot of limitations, a lot of barriers to entry when it comes to third-party candidates getting on the ballot. Obviously, money helps, and a lot of money helps even more.
That's right.
But ultimately, it's going to be about resonance with public opinion. And once again, we can't minimize the importance of the anti-vote, the anti-Trump vote, the anti-Biden vote. At the end of the day, you might be disaffected, but do you really want Trump to win, or do you really want Biden to win? Are you really going to throw away your vote when it comes to your anti-candidate feelings?
I often get told when I ask questions about voter sentiment that not everyone's paying as much attention as we are here in Washington. Obviously, we've been enmeshed in this for what feels like forever, and we will continue to be so. But a lot of people are probably just now tuning in, seeing that there is someone with the Kennedy name who is running. And I just wonder to what extent you think the support he may be drawing now will actually be lasting once the public gets to know him better, whether it is just kind of a name recognition thing we may be seeing right now.
I think it's partially that. Once again, our experience, whether it be in the United States or in other countries with third-party candidates, they tend to taper off as you get closer to Election Day. And it is the case that people are not paying attention at this point. Therefore, we should be very careful with the horse race polls. The horse race polls are fuzzy at best. Other indicators like the main problem and approval ratings are probably better leading indicators of what will happen. But ultimately, we have to understand where we are. We're 7 months out.
Kayleigh mentions consumer sentiment today. Our Bloomberg News poll that came out a couple of days ago actually showed improvement in the 7 swing states, or at least several key states for Joe Biden, including Wisconsin. Is the trajectory in his favor based on your research? You look a couple of months down the road, where's it going to be?
I expect this trend. Listen, these elections in the United States are very, very close presidential elections. We have to remember that historically speaking. There's no way that Trump was going to win by as much as the polls are suggesting. This was a lag effect, in my opinion, inertial effect of inflation. And the economy is improving, and that's what we're seeing right now. We're seeing sort of glimmers of hope in some ways when it comes to the economy. You're less likely to punish the executive in power at the time, that is Biden at this point. And your numbers and all the numbers are suggesting this more positive trend for the Biden camp.
All right, Cliff Young of Ipsos, always great to have you here in our Washington studio. We appreciate your time.